Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English with Sarah and James. It's so great to have you with us today.
It certainly is. In today's episode, we're talking about something I know many of you are interested in, traveling. More specifically, we're sharing some fantastic budget travel hacks you need to know.
That's right. We'll give you some practical tips and teach you some essential vocabulary to help you plan your next adventure without spending too much money. So let's get into it.
Sarah, I know you just got back from a trip to Italy. I bet that was amazing, but it sounds expensive. How did you manage it on a teacher salary?
Well, that's the secret, James. I'm a big fan of traveling during the off season. It makes a huge difference to the cost.
The off-season. What exactly do you mean by that for our listeners?
Good question. The off-season is the time of year when a place has fewer tourists. For Europe, that often means the colder months, like November or February. Prices for flights and hotels are much lower. The word season is pronounced S-E-A-S-O-N with a long E sound.
That makes a lot of sense. So you avoid the summer crowds and save money. That's a great hack. My favorite way to save money is to be smart about accommodation. I'm not afraid to cut corners a little bit on where I sleep.
Cut corners. I like that expression. It means to save money by doing something in a cheaper or faster way, right?
Exactly. But it's important to be careful. You don't want to cut corners on safety, for example. But instead of a fancy hotel, I'll stay in a hostel or a family-run guest house. You meet more people that way, too.
I agree completely. Another thing I always do is create a detailed itinerary before I go. This helps me budget for each day.
Oh, see, I'm a bit different. I think having a super strict itinerary can sometimes be a problem. You need to be flexible. What if you discover a hidden gem that wasn't in your plan?
That's a fair point. But what is an itinerary? It's basically your travel plan, a list of where you'll go and when. It's a useful word, but the pronunciation can be a bit tricky for learners.
You're right. So a good compromise is to have a rough plan, but leave some room for spontaneous adventures. Plan the big things, but be flexible with the small things. That way you get the best of both worlds.
I love that. So to recap our main hacks, travel in the off-season, be smart about accommodation, and have an itinerary that is also flexible. Now, let's take a closer look at some of that key vocabulary.
Excellent idea. Let's move on to our vocabulary review. The first term we used was off-season. As we mentioned, the off-season is the period of the year when a place has fewer tourists, making it cheaper to visit. For example, visiting the beaches in Thailand during the monsoon season would be considered the off-season.
That's a perfect example. A synonym for off-season is the low season. You could say, we got a great deal on our hotel because we traveled during the low season. For pronunciation, focus on the first word, off. The two words are usually said together quite smoothly, off-season.
Exactly. The opposite would be the peak season or the high season, which is the most popular and most expensive time to travel. So a key tip for memory is to think off equals not on. So not the main time for travel.
Next up, we have that great idiom you pointed out, to cut corners. This means to do something in the easiest, cheapest, or fastest way, often by omitting steps or sacrificing quality. For instance, the builder cut corners when constructing the house, and now the roof leaks.
That's a great, clear example of the negative side of this idiom. It often implies a poor result. However, in our travel conversation, James used it in a more neutral way. He said he was willing to cut corners on accommodation, meaning he was happy to choose a less luxurious option to save money for other things.
Right. Context is key here. You wouldn't want a surgeon to cut corners during your operation, but cutting corners on your daily coffee by making it at home is a smart way to save money. The phrase is pretty straightforward to pronounce. Cut corners.
Our third word was itinerary. This is a noun, and it means a detailed plan or route of a journey. For example, could you please send me the itinerary for our trip to Japan? I want to see what we're doing each day.
It's a fantastic word to use when you're making plans with someone. Pronunciation is a bit of a challenge here. It has 5 syllables. Let's break it down. I, tin, air, e. The main stress is on the second syllable, tin. Let's say it again slowly. I, tin, rare, e.
That's a perfect breakdown. You could also just use the word plan or schedule, but itinerary sounds a bit more official and specific to travel. Try to create a sentence with it yourself. For instance, my itinerary for Saturday is completely free.
Great advice. And that brings us to the end of our discussion on budget travel hacks.
We hope you found it useful. The main takeaway is that with a little bit of planning and some smart choices, you can definitely travel more without breaking the bank. Remember to try using off-season, cut corners, and itinerary in your own conversations.
Practice is everything. The more you use these words and phrases, the more natural they'll become. Thanks for tuning in to English with Sarah and James, and we look forward to joining you again next time. Happy learning!